Is it time? All right. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Therapeutic Thursdays C.A.R.E Essence group. My name is Nicole Ruffin. Trying to get things situated. My name is Nicole Ruffin, and I will be your spokesperson today. I am your wellness advocate. I'm the owner of C.A.R.E Essence Therapeutic Massage. Oh, excuse me. All right, I'm the owner of C.A.R.E Essence Therapeutic Massage, and I am your wellness advocate, your Reiki master, and your essential oil educator. Excuse me. Okay. So I'm in my tax preparer's office today. I had a meeting this morning at 11 o'clock, and we're not finished yet, so we're taking a break so that I can be here with you. So you're going to have to excuse the music in the background, the ringing telephone. My phone won't ring, but the office phone will ring, and the ambiance in the background is my tax preparer, and he's proud of his daughter. So anyway, I didn't want to postpone this call. I had to postpone the call last week, so I didn't want to postpone the call this week. So here we are. Thank you for joining, and I wanted to talk to you guys about we initiated a conversation about stress and how to identify stress. And so what I wanted to do today was to talk to you about, once you identify that you're in a stressful situation, how do you begin to address it? You know, we can't just avoid stress. What happens in our lives is that we are pressing along, you know, getting our work together, doing our work, you know, spending time with family and friends, and then we get struggles or events happen in our lives. Excuse me, but it says swipe left to see my viewers. Okay, I don't see my viewers. Okay, I saw my viewers last time. I can't see them this time. Okay, so we're pressing along with our lives, and we are trying to carry out our tasks and our events and things like that or whatever. But then something hits us. We get overwhelmed and we get stressed out and things. And so what I'd like to do is spend some time today just discussing, you know, what happens when you hit that wall, if you will, and how do you go about. Sorry, I keep getting this eye popped up, and I was trying to see if it could help me identify who's here. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Please forgive me. This is only time number 2 of me doing this, but I'll just keep going along. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So before we get started, I'd like to tell you, make some suggestions for you. The first thing I'd like for you to do is down below, if you see the button share, if you could share this event with other people that might be experiencing some stress and looking for some tips to help them handle their stress when it comes. And then we also have a C.A.R.E Essence Network Facebook group. And with that group, I'd like for you to join us on that group. And some of the benefits of joining that group is because we will continue offline the discussions about ways to identify stress, ways to cope with dealing with these stressful events when they come, because they will come. And then it'll just be a community of people that can offer you support, and you can offer them support, and you'll get your questions answered. So if you want to just jump on over there and type in C.A.R.E Essence Network, and that will help you commit or connect with the group. Okay, and I appreciate that. And then next, we are also offering a free gift, and the free gift is a copy of 10 secret signs to stress. The number that you would text is, you would text the word CARE to 240-618-2866. Again, that's text the word CARE, C-A-R-E, to 240-618-2866. And the benefit of the gift it will help you if you think you're not experiencing stress. They have some factors there that will help you to recognize signs if you have some. And then it'll give you suggestions on how to address these issues and what habits we can establish to keep from falling into those stressful traps again, okay? So who is this conversation for? It's for people who have a difficult time saying no. They are, maybe they're afraid to say no, or maybe they like the idea or the concept of helping someone, and so they just jump on to the wagon and, you know, offer their support and their help, but they're not really available. Maybe you think it's pretty cool to multitask, and multitasking can be done strategically, but for the most part, when it comes to our work and our personal lives and our relationship, we should be present in the moment and not trying to multitask too many things at one time. For someone who is joining or asking you to join a committee and you just want to run in the other direction, you're like, no, don't ask me to do another thing, you know. That happens commonly, like in church practices, because there's a lot of people, members of the church, but a lot of people are in ministry. So you find yourself recycling the same people over and over again to do more and more stuff. And you're looking around, and there's plenty of people that are not in ministry that could come and support these groups. And so what happens is people will look to you to add on another thing to your plate, and you just don't have the energy or the time to do it. And then it's also this conversation is also for people who are not delivering on their promises. You know, you've joined a group, you thought it was a fantastic idea, and then you discover after you've joined the group that you really don't have time to get this task done, but you've already committed to it. And so now you have to decide whether you're going to stay committed or actually, you know, have the courage to go back to that person that you made the promise to and apologize and say, you know what, I really don't have the time to do this. Okay, I can't see who's on the call. Yeah, I was looking to see. I see that I have 2 people on, but I don't. Let me see. It says swipe left. Okay, let's see. Okay. Hey, Taria, I just figured it out. Welcome to the call. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your support. And so we just identified who these people are that would be, that this conversation is necessary for. We talked about people who can't say no, people who are just so overzealous with, thanks for being here with me, who are overzealous about committing to things, but then they realize that there's too much for them to do, or they might decide, they may see that, you know, once they start working on the project, it's not of interest to them. It's more involved than they realize. And so, hey, Colette. And so, you know, they have to create a strategy for how to keep it moving or how to get out of the situation. Okay. So what we don't want you to do is run away from your responsibilities, but we want you to be strategic about how you take on tasks, completing what you started, or this is a great topic. Thank you. Completing what you started and before you take on new things. So let's just dig right on in. If you have any questions, you can type them down at the bottom, or you can jump over to our C.A.R.E Essence Network, and I'll be there to answer your questions as well. Okay. So let's see. The first thing we'll talk about is who are you helping? When you sign up to do a task or to participate in a committee or start a project or something like that, are you helping someone or are you hurting them by taking on something that you can't carry out, right? So, someone has expectations that you are going to commit to carry out this project all the way through, and you realize that, you know what, this is not really my thing. I really can't carry this out. I just became a deacon about almost a year ago, and there's some projects on the deacon committee that they need people to step up and take responsibility too. Well, now I'm already on 3 ministries at my church, and so the particular committee that they need help with or assistance with is literally overwhelming. It's not like a 1 or 2 person project. You probably need like a team of 10 or more, and so they lean on some of the young folks. I'm still considered one of the young folks. Woohoo! They lean on one of the young folks to commit. But the reality for me is I'm married, and I'm married to someone who is disabled. And so I know what kind of tension that my husband has for me. So when the deacon leader asked me to join the group or the committee, I had to step back and just let him know that I don't have the time to give it the attention that it really needs. And I know how important this particular committee is, because we're reaching out to families, we're reaching out to non-believers. And so you don't want to make a commitment like that and then you can't deliver on your promises. When you're making these commitments, are you spending less time with your family and your friends? Or are you a workaholic? And so you are taking on these projects because you like to be busy and you like to have things to do. It's not a good idea to continue in a direction where you are taking on more stuff just because you like to be busy. Because maybe what's happening is maybe you're avoiding something. Maybe you're running from something. I remember when I was working at a local hospital here, I used to work every holiday, not because I needed the money, but because my family environment wasn't healthy and I just wanted to be away from home. So I would work a double on every Thanksgiving and every Christmas, and I would say, I'm giving to the single moms so they can spend time with their children. And although it was noble and, they certainly appreciate it, from time to time, I would like to be home with my family and friends, But that was a lesson that I learned when I was really young. So just jumping on all of these projects could be an idea, could be a mindset that I just want to get away from what the task that I really need to be working on, the task that's really important. And these are just a way of escape, if you will. The second thing is, are you a people pleaser? That's a really tough one, because sometimes you want to say no because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings. You don't want to seem like, you're just, what's the word I'm looking for? You're saying yes to things that you really should be saying no to because you maybe have an expectation that you want this person to like you or you want this person to appreciate you. And we really get caught up in that in places like the workplace and in our churches. Again, I work for myself, so I don't really have the connection with a boss anymore, but I do see it sometimes in the environment of the church. When pastors ask for our help, you don't want to say no, but really you can't do it. So you take it on, and then you realize this is a huge undertaking. I was just talking to Taria, and Taria is working with me to get my business moving in a direction that will help generate connections with clients and being able to help people. And so what happens is I look like I know what I'm doing on social media, and I'm learning. I'm really excited about the transformation that I've already made. However, people who know less than I do think I'm an expert. And so I just had a conversation with a family member of mine who is a pastor, and he wants social media presence for his church. And so we had a conversation, and I gave him some of the tidbits that I learned, but I couldn't take that on. I understand what he needs, and I gave him some insight on what I've already learned, but I would not even take on an undertaking like being the social media expert for a church where they're trying to reach lives and souls and connect with people, because I'm still learning what I need to do for C.A.R.E Essence. And so it's really important that even though you love the person that's asking you and you really want to help, it would be easier if you said, I'm not the person that you're looking for. I know it looks like I know what I'm doing, but I know someone who would really be an expert in this. It's called delegation. So you delegate because you can't take on the projects. And I did apologize earlier. I'm actually in my tax person's office, and he's allowing me to use his office, so I can't turn his phones off, so you'll hear some phones ringing in the background, but hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, so then the next thing is, I just mentioned it, delegating. So, we have what's called an ego, and an ego is, I can do it. I can do it right. I can do it perfect. Nobody can do it better than I can do it. Well, honey, let me tell you, that is simply not true. First of all, God didn't make us perfect. He didn't make us perfect so that we could learn to lean on other people. There's a story in the Old Testament when Moses delivered his people out of Egypt. He became the head honcho. And so every time people had questions about the interpretation of the commandments, they would go to him. And you're welcome, Taria. I love you. Every time they had a question about the interpretations of the Bible, they would go to Moses. And so one day Moses's father-in-law said, "You're doing too much. Literally, you are doing too much, and you need to delegate some of the smaller tasks to your subordinates. If you don't have any, you need to train them so that they can handle the little disagreements, and then you can take care of the big stuff, because you're wearing yourself out." And so ultimately that's what he did. Now that's a lesson that we can take on from the Word of God. It's scriptural. I can't do it all, so I need a team to help me. Now I know sometimes your name is on the line, and you don't want to pass off a project as complete or ready or perfect until you have overlooked it or edited. Well, that's fine. Wouldn't you rather have just a review to do instead of the whole project to do? For example, I am in the process of transferring some information into my computer. I have a new computer, and my old computer died before I could save a lot of the files. I have some of them in the Google Drive, but a lot of them I lost. And so I have hard copies of things that I want to retype and put them into my laptop and on my jump drive and on the Google Docs. And so once again, here's another shout out to Rhea. I was telling Rhea what my hold up is and what's taking me so long, because I'm supposed to be delivering some information to her, and I've missed one of my deadlines. And she said, "Oh, Nicole, you can just send it over to me, and I'm trying to do your accent. You can just send it over to me, and I can convert the file for you." And I was just like, duh, why didn't I think of that? So I sent over to a couple of the documents for her, and so they can be converted, and I don't have to waste that time typing everything myself, So here is an example of, like you not trying to do everything, but just having conversations with people, and they can tell you a simple way to do it. So yeah, of course, typing and having spell check is awesome, but saving that much time by having someone else convert the documents, or learning how to convert the documents so that I can do it myself, I was like, look at that. So I don't know, maybe I've saved like 2 hours. I'm not a fast typer, so, saving 2 hours. And like Dakisha, I don't think Dakisha's on the line, but Dakisha talks about spending so much time doing tasks and not revenue generating stuff, but just being able to focus on some more activities that need my attention. You offer those delegations to someone else, and then if you need it to be perfect, and it probably doesn't, then you would just review it before you pass it on as your own. The other thing is time blocking. So what happens with time blocking, and this is another one that I'm really just starting to work with, is we have so many distractions. We have text messaging, we have phone calls, we have emails. I have clients that reach me in so many different ways, and it's hard for me to keep up. I prefer a phone call, but I can't always reach the phone because I'm working with a client. So I'll tell people as a backup, just text me a basic question, because sometimes we play phone tag for like 2.5 hours and all they really wanted to do was schedule an appointment. Now, I do have online scheduling. However, some people just want that human contact, and I understand that. So I'll just say, if you know what the date and time is that you want to schedule the appointment, just go ahead and text me and I'll take care of it for you. However, while I'm working on a task, I may be doing some administrative stuff, some data entry or something, I have all kinds of bells and whistles. I got the Facebook notifications, and now they come up on my phone and my new computer. I have to check the C.A.R.E Therapeutic Massage business page, because I have people that will reach me there. The text messaging, the Facebook instant messaging, Instagram instant messaging, the telephone calls, the voicemails. And I'm like, wow, you could easily lose like 90 minutes just trying to follow up on all of these sources of communication. So with time blocking, when I'm working on a task that needs my full attention, I learned an amazing little discovery. It's called Do Not Disturb. It's on it's on the settings on your phone. And so while this time that I'm working on a project needs my full attention, I don't worry about the calls. And so as a matter of fact, what I've done is block time on my scheduler. I actually have a scheduler from the Google Calendar that converts over to my online scheduler for massages. And so I can see all of my appointments, my personal and my business at once. Now, there's probably an easier way to do it, or a simpler way, but it helps me to understand, what's business related, and you can color code it. It's what's business related, what's administrative related, what's personal. Yeah, my personal can go onto this calendar too. And so I've actually blocked out, Taria, I'm listening, Taria. I blocked out time to return calls. I've blocked out time to do some writing. I've committed to doing these Therapeutic Thursday live chats every Thursday at 2:00. So I realized that I don't just block out 2:00. I actually have to block out time before, like 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after, so that I can prepare to shut down. When a client gets off the table at 2, or if I have a client at 1:00, let's say, and they get off the table at 2:00, well, my call is supposed to be at 2. So I had to pad the time, that's what we call it, so that I have time and I'm not rushed to get ready for the call. Those are those concepts, so that you're not rushed, you're not overwhelmed, you're not, screaming like, oh my God, it's 2:00 already. You just really want to take time to pace yourself. And then the next thing is, when you're feeling overwhelmed, this is my favorite. You stop, you pause, you scream, you get up from your desk, you shake it off, you walk away from someone who is stressing you out. You say, now is not a good time for me. You don't stay there and just take it all in. You can walk away, and you evaluate what the current event is doing to you. When you realize that all stuff has hit the fan, you just take a moment and just pause. Screaming is my favorite. My husband, before we got married, when I used to get so upset at my old job and I would just be enraged, he would take me over to the National Stadium, of course not when games were going on or whatever, and I would just scream until I couldn't scream anymore, and it really felt good. It really did. So what I wanted to talk about is, how to move forward with addressing your stress. There's so many people walking around. I'm not used to it, so I am still looking back and forth. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to do is to stop. And I can't punch people anymore. No, we can't punch people anymore. Not if you want to work with them. Sometimes it's just a matter of a disagreement and they don't understand how you work, and you realize that you're not getting through to them. So you just have to pause and say, can we table this for now and get back to it at some other time when I have an idea or a handle on what the situation is or what's really going on. So that reminds me of the vantage point. There was this movie that I saw earlier this year called The Shack. And what I loved about The Shack was, some people thought it was controversial because humans played God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, but that wasn't my thing. What I really liked was the interpretation of how God sees us. So in one aspect of the movie, the main character was in the garden with the Holy Spirit, and the garden was completely in disarray. It was pretty because it had all of these colors and things, but there was like weeds right along with the flowers, and they were pulling and digging. And the main character said, "What is this mess?" And the Holy Spirit said, "It's you." And so what they did was they pulled the camera back to like above the garden, and what you saw was like this beautiful labyrinth with all those colors. And so, when you're in the midst of the stress, you see it as messy, uncontrollable, just haywire, overwhelming, anxious. But when you have a chance to step back and take a look at what's really going on, the problems are not as big as they seem when you're in the midst of it. Another way to look at it is, remember before we had GPS, we had these things called maps. And what would happen is if you got lost, you would stop. Literally stop. You wouldn't just keep driving. You would stop and try to figure out where you currently are. And so you might see a sign on the road that says, North 193. So then you open out the map and you look for the map. You look for North 193 on your map, and you say, "Hey, I'm about such and such a place." And then you realize that you've gone too far north. So what you need to do is get on the road going back in the other direction so that you can get to where you're going. It's the same thing in our lives. Before you make another call, before you raise your hand, before you hit send, before you respond to another text, put your hand down, close your mouth, don't volunteer for anything else until you assess what you currently have going on in your lives. Sometimes, like Taria said yesterday, she said, when you write things down, then you know where you are. If you keep it all in your head, you're going to forget something. I promise you. You are going to forget stuff. I forgot stuff when I was a teenager and in my 20s. Now that I'm almost 50 years old, I'm probably forgetting it even more. So you have to write it down. And so that's what the first step in our conversation today is. Just stop. Just not pause. Don't pause. Pause will mean that you're just going to put your foot on the brake just for a second and just keep going. But literally just stop and take an assessment of how you're feeling. What's going on in your emotions? How do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel angry? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel annoyed? Maybe you're doing so much because people know that you're going to always say yes, and so they don't ask anybody else. Or maybe you're so good at what you do, but you need time for yourself. When's the last time you had a massage? When's the last time you had a physical? When is the last time you've done something for yourself? You can't, because you got too much stuff on your plate. And now what I mean by too much stuff on your plate, that's a colloquialism. When you go to Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner, you're so excited because some of those dishes you only see at that time of the year. People pull out their famous casseroles and their famous dishes and everything, and you feel like you have to eat it all. You don't eat like that the whole year, and then when Thanksgiving and Christmas comes on, you just pile it on. And at some point your stomach says enough. Well, you got to do the same thing in your life. You piling so many things on, and your body, your mind, your spirit is all saying enough, but you're too busy to listen. And your body needs that rest. It really does. The word says rest. So when God says be still and know that I'm God, that's his way of telling you to stop what you're doing. He's trying to get you to go in another direction, but he can't get you to pay attention because you're too busy and too distracted doing these things that you find important, and they may not be the things that you need to do at all. Right. You are mentally and physically full. That's absolutely right. So the first thing that I want you to do is just stop what you're doing and don't say yes to another thing until you do the second step, which is to jot down your list of everything that you're currently doing. So if you're doing things in your finances, if you're doing things physically in your physical workout, if you're doing things on your jobs, if you've joined ministries, or if you're members of sororities and clubs or fraternities, if you are the things that you're working on in your business, the things that you're working on in your relationships. Maybe you are a mom or a spouse, or maybe you're a care provider for a family member. All of those things, you have to list them. Everything. Don't leave anything out. But the thing that I want to distinguish is, don't add things to the list that you want to do. We're only going to work with the things that you're already doing. Okay? Any questions on that? So, right. So you want to just, if your mom, I have a note, little jog my memory, like if you're a sports mom, if you're taking your kids to gymnastics and to soccer and things like that, all of those activities that you do currently, you put them down on a piece of paper, and you can actually put them in categories. So some of the responsibilities or some of the tasks that you take on are considered ongoing. So like if you're a mom, that's an ongoing task. If you're a wife like me, that's an ongoing task. But then there's some projects that you've signed up for, and they have a deadline, and I want you to put those in a different category. So once you list everything, it doesn't matter which side you start with, whether it's your ongoing list or your deadline list. Let's start with the deadline list. With the deadline list, look at what you're currently doing that needs your attention, like needs your full concentration, and then look at that list and see who you can delegate things to. So, for example, at my church, I am the leader of a Bible study group, but I have a co-leader, and so we take on different roles. So she will, if I send out the email reminders to let people know, hey, we have small group this week, she's taking on the responsibility of printing out the needed materials for our group. If she is doing if she's picking up the food, well, what'll happen is she'll pick up the food because I'm in the office and I may be working with a client, so it's easier for her because she has to travel to the office anyway. So we've taken on different roles for the facilitation of the group. So if I am facilitating this week, then she'll take it on next week or in 2 weeks, and vice versa. We switch it up so that everybody's not doing all of the work. It's not just me saying, oh, you do this, but just a matter of, well, Nikki, what do you need from me? And then vice versa. So it's a team effort, right? That's something that is timed blocked for every 2 weeks and on Thursday night. So when someone invites me to dinner, which happened 2 weeks ago, I couldn't go because that was a non-negotiable. But there's some things on your list that don't require you to carry them out. There's some things on your list that you shouldn't be doing at all. And what I mean by that is, I keep referencing church, but that's where most of my volunteer activity goes. But I am a prayer intercessor. I am a deacon at the church. I'm a wife. I consider marriage a ministry, and I am a prayer intercessor. And so the ministries that I don't belong on is the children's ministry. I love children, but I get easily distracted with too many people wanting my attention at one time, and so that doesn't work well for me. So one child needs to go to the bathroom and you need to assist them with that. But what happens to all the other kids? Some people are great at delegating or keeping children in line. That's not my area of expertise. I'll try to give them a massage and they're like, no, stop touching me. So I have to move on. Another ministry that I know is not my gift is the lights ministry. I am in the sanctuary most of the time, and there's the camera crew and the lights crew. And because I'm so easily distracted and I'm paying attention to what's going on in my environment, I could actually see myself like taking the camera off focus and just to look around and see what's going on. So that's not something that I would sign up for. So what you have to do is think about what your goals, what your dreams, and what your desires are. And the projects that you are currently working on should be projects that will help you move in that direction. Okay, so for example, there's a lot of companies that are, I'm not discrediting multi-level marketing companies because I do believe in multiple streams of income. But if you don't understand laws and legal practices, you really shouldn't be selling Legal Shield. You know what I mean? If you can't cook and you don't know your way around the kitchen, you may want to avoid the Pampered Chef multi-level. I work with essential oils. I like to help people feel better. I like to give like all natural healing strategies for their health. And because I'm currently undergoing some health issues and I'm doing research naturally, it's easy for me and comfortable for me to talk about essential oils and supplements and things like that. So that is a complement to what I do versus I don't know, signing up for, like I said, the Legal Shield or the Pampered Chef. I'm not even the chef in my house. My husband is the one that cooks. So, trying to get people to purchase Tupperware and everything, that would just be completely in a different direction than, what I'm currently doing, and it doesn't match. And so I might not give it my full attention. I might not give it my full, I like things in excellence. I may not give it my full in excellence if I'm not passionate about it. So you have to think about how you make decisions about what tasks you should take on. Okay, so when you're looking at that, the list with the deadline, what you want to do is before you take on anything new, set deadlines, realistic deadlines to these tasks. And if there's something that you really believe that you can't finish, you may have to have that conversation with the person that you promised to carry out this plan and say, hey, this is more than I was expecting. This is more than I can do by myself. I might need a team. Or is there anybody else that you know that can do this? I know it may feel difficult to do that because you may not have done that before. but just, realistically, this is what I can handle. You have to be honest with yourself, because after all, your life is on the line. And if you continue to pile things on, you may not be able to get anything done. It may affect you, like you said, mentally, physically, and you won't be able to complete the task. And so you don't want to disappoint people intentionally by saying that you can do things that you can't. So, take a look at the list of things that you can do. Try to complete the ones that take the least amount of time to do them. So like if you have a project that you can finish this weekend, go ahead and finish it so you can just scratch it off the list. Right now, that doesn't mean add something new to the list since you took that thing off, but it just means to get yourself prepared so that you can make more time to do the things that you really want to commit to. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay, now with the ongoing strategies, that's a little difficult because emergencies do happen. So, I'll go again with using my example in my life. I got married in 2012, and my husband was disabled when we met. But a year into our marriage, my husband had brain surgery. And lo and behold, I literally had to shut down my office. I did have people working in my office at the time, but I was so distracted emotionally. I was completely scared. Not only did he have to have one brain surgery, he had to have two. So I'm frightened, but at the same time, I'm still trying to run a business. And I must be honest with you, I didn't do a very good job of it, but I did communicate to my team what was happening. And at that time, I had people on my team that could just cover for me. And it's just like, Nikki's not here. She's not available. She's not available for massage. I took my name off the list of availability for massages, and my team just stepped in. And I was so appreciative, because I wouldn't have been no good to anyone if I had tried to commit to being fully present for massage, and I had to be fully present for my husband. So life is going to hand you curveballs, right? And so if you have enough vacancy or availability on your plate, you can give your full attention to those emergencies that come up. Now, I'm sure my husband would have understood if I had said, babe, I gotta go to work. But I didn't want to. I wanted to be with him. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean about being present to your family and your friends, because these projects that you're taking on, they're going to come and go. But your family, you don't want to miss opportunities to spend time with them. I'm so grateful that I am self-employed, so that I can, go to doctor's appointments with my husband, so that I can take time off when I want to. And I know that's not everyone's situation, but, you have to think about what's important to you. And your work can kill you, but your friends and family, they're constants. Everything else is variable. Everything else is ever changing, but you want to create memories. Just last week, someone posted on Facebook, what do you do with your free time? And I responded back, free time? What is that? I was joking. And so I had a doctor's appointment. And so I typically don't have Thursday off. Thursday is a work day for me. Tuesdays is my day off, but I couldn't get the doctor's appointment on Tuesday, so I took Thursday off. And so in the middle of the day, it was like 1 o'clock after the appointment was over, my husband and I stopped and got something to eat. We got a carry out, and then we drove over to the West Potomac Park and chilled for the rest of the afternoon. We were there from like 2 in the afternoon until 6, like sunset. And we took pictures of the sun. We took pictures of people riding in the boat in Potomac Park on the Potomac River. We took pictures of the sunset. It was just completely awesome. I can't remember the last time that I've done something like that. I just said on a work day, you know what? let me just escape and just go and just be. And I mean, it's a memory now. So, we took pictures, of course. And so to just be able to say, oh, yeah, remember when we did that? And you know what my husband said? We need to do this more often. Oh, yeah, and not feel guilty about it. No, we should not feel guilty about it. It's what we call quality of life, And so because we get stuck in these rhythms and just keep moving and going and going and going, we forget to literally stop and smell the roses, and the sun. I posted the sunsets on my Facebook page and my Instagram page. They were beautiful. It's like every day they're like different colors. I'm like, God, you're awesome. So you want to prioritize your list. You want to evaluate your list and find out which ones need your attention and which ones can be delegated and which ones you may just have to stop doing altogether, and just be really honest about whether or not you should keep these going. The ongoing list, same thing. Some of us are care providers for our children as well as our adult parents, and we try to do everything. If you have siblings or family members who can to help cover the caregiving, or what is it, share in the caregiving time, like maybe you decide the month of this is September. The month of September, I'll take mom to all of her doctor's appointments, and you get her next month. Sometimes we just don't even stop to ask for help, and I know that I'm guilty of that. I grew up in an environment where I was taught to be very, very independent, and so I didn't ask for a lot of help when I was a youth, and so as an adult, it's even more difficult. But what I'm so grateful for is that people will say, hey, Nikki, what do you need? But I shouldn't have to expect that people will constantly ask me, what do I need? I have to be willing to ask for help, because it blesses both of us. It's a blessing when I can help someone, but it also gives them an opportunity to serve, which is a blessing for me. So you don't want to deprive people of that. Now, you don't want to burden people with tasks and things, but when you can just, stop and say, hey, I need some help. I'm vulnerable. How amazing is that? But you know who we don't even ask help from? Our Lord and Savior. I think it's so amazing that God created us. He knows what direction He wants us to go. We have all of these tasks on our list that has nothing to do with our purpose or our vision, the vision that God has for our life. And we're heading off in this wrong direction. And God is like, I really need you to be over here, but then you're like, I can't be over here because I got all this stuff to do, right? You got all this stuff to do, but none of it has anything to do with your vision, your mission, your dream, your passion, any of that stuff. And then the moment that you say, Lord, I need your help, then all of a sudden there's this clarity that comes over you. Maybe the project will get discontinued and we're not even moving in that direction anymore. Thank you, Nicole, for your service, but we're not doing that anymore. Or maybe somebody else will come up to you and say, hey, that committee you're on, I got so many ideas that I'd like to share with you, whatever. Well, you know what? If you're really that passionate about it, how about you take over it's just amazing how things would just open up for you if you just simply stop and say, God, help me. He put it like this. His vision for your life is more than you can imagine. His answers and solutions. You have these little menial tasks that you like. If I finish this, then this is going to happen. You really don't know for sure that if you do this little task, that this opportunity is going to be created. You think that that's what you need to do. But if you say, God, I need your help. This is what I want to happen, but I want things to happen according to your will. And then not just ask God to move in your life, but in the meantime, God, how can I serve you? when you think about all of the projects and the committees and commitments you're on, are you doing anything for the Lord? I mean, really, He is the one that needs us the most so that our path can fall in place. But we get so distracted. We're looking left and right. We're buying all these things. We're doing all of these things, and we're not even taking the time to commit to find out what God needs or how we can help Him help us. So I think it's really important to stop and pause, to get on the page with your Lord and Savior, so that when hey, Stephanie, how are you? Yay. Can I just stop and pause and say, yay? Okay. This is my second Therapeutic Thursday talk. So it's good to have Stephanie is one of my clients, and it's really good to see a familiar face. Thank you for being here. But yeah, so what I'm saying is, when you're asking God to give you help and support in an area, you'll feel full and satisfied and happy and excited and all of these things, that you're really starting to do things that line up with the goal and purpose that God has for you, versus feeling weighed down and burdened by more things that you have to do that don't even bring you joy or don't make you feel full or complete. Now, the next thing that you have to do is, once you start alleviating some of these tasks off of your list, is to decide, it'll free up your time. And so once it frees up your time, you want to think about making decisions about if you're going to take on more tasks. Is it a task that will line up with your purpose? Is it a task that will line up in a direction that you want to go into? Maybe you want to stop and pause and say, God, can you let me know before I make this decision if this is where you want me to go? Because that's where the overwhelmness comes in, is doing things and it doesn't line up with your purpose. And then it just becomes more task and no time to complete it, and then you feel overwhelmed and you're spending time, money, and energy that you really can't afford to do, and then you feel resentful that you can't work on the things that you're really passionate about doing, so so you don't. I have an example. So remember when you were in elementary school? When you think about elementary school, you had a time block of like 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And in that time block, your teachers will have tasks for you to do. So you might have had math and English in the morning, and then you might have had science and world history. Or in my case, I went to a private Catholic school. We had religion in the evening or in the afternoon. We had time blocked for recess, and we had time blocked for lunch. When you got home, I had to do my homework before I could watch television, so I had my time blocked for doing my chores, whatever my mom assigned me to do in the kitchen, getting my homework done, and then there may have been time left for television, and if it wasn't, it was take your shower and go to bed. And so the time blocking, there was nothing else that I could multitask in that time blocking. I couldn't do my homework while watching TV. That was a no-no. You know what I mean? Couldn't talk on the phone while I was in the bathtub, So those kinds of things, you want to pay attention to what you're doing, and the time block will help you stay on task and on focus. Now, I will say sometimes emergencies kick in and you have to switch things up, but you just want to get in the habit of just doing those things in a time frame. There's also this app on the phone. I don't personally need the app, but it's a 25-minute time block, and they say that your attention span starts to leave and escape you if you go beyond 25 minutes. So what I recommend that you could do is you could sign up for the app, or you could just set your timer on your phone so that after 20 or 30 minutes that you will take on the task of doing something else. Now I'm looking here at the time, and I am finished with my conversation, but I was just like, wow, I just got all excited today, and I'm like, I got 6 minutes left. So let me just recap what we talked about. We're talking about stress, and so in talking about stress, we're saying that you want to identify what's on your plate currently, what things you can stop doing altogether, what things that you can delegate to someone else, and what really needs your full attention. We also talked about just taking your ego out of it. Everything doesn't have to be done by you. As a matter of fact, you'll discover everything cannot be done by you. We talked about listing all of the things that you're currently active in, your ongoing activities, as well as the things that have thank you, Taria. The things that are that have a deadline. And so the things that have a deadline, you want to prioritize them, and you want to delegate them to other people if you don't have to be the one to do it. And then decide what's really important. And that is so important because hey, Wanda, that's so important because you won't spend time doing things that don't move in a direction to help you carry out your life's purpose. Excuse me. So I want to say, there was something else I wanted to say that I thought I might have skipped over, but I'll save it for next time if I can't. If I can't find it, I apologize. It was okay. So anyway, thank you so much for joining the live feed. I really appreciate it. This is my second live feed. I'll get more comfortable, and I was actually comfortable today. I'll get more professional with it, but here's the thing. This live feed is something that I'm passionate about. I have clients that I only see once in a blue moon, but I still want to be able to connect with them throughout the year, the month, the week. And so I'm really excited about the relationship or developing community and talking about things that are important to you. So if you're just getting on, we have a... Oh, Wanda, you said that you want to catch the next one entirely. They're every Thursday at 2:00, but these will be these recordings will be saved, and they're going to be on the C.A.R.E Essence Network group, which is what I was just going to tell you. I was going to invite you to. We have a C.A.R.E Essence Facebook C.A.R.E Essence Network group, and that's where you go to establish relationship with the community. You can ask questions. We'll talk about stress. We'll talk about anything that you want. And then we also have a gift, and the gift is if you text the word CARE to 240-618-2866, we have a gift to help you find 10 ways to identify stress. Okay, thank you so much for joining. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your week, the rest of your week, and have a great weekend.